Good evening. It's Tuesday, the 7th of February, and it's time for the news on RIK2. A mother and her partner have been remanded in custody for 8 days in connection with a case of repeated sexual exploitation and abuse of her 9-year-old daughter since 2012. The 32-year-old woman and her 34-year-old partner, living in Paphos, were remanded by a Limassol court, as most of the alleged crimes took place in the city, behind closed doors to protect the identity of the underaged victim. The two suspects appear to deny involvement and have made several allegations that are currently under investigation. According to a charge made by a welfare service officer to police, the suspects appear to have been sexually exploiting the child for the past 2 years. Also under investigation is the possibility that the abuse started when she was 5, with her mother allegedly passing her on to previous partners. The child is now under the care of welfare services and will be examined by a doctor. The government reiterated that the Turkish demand for its citizens to enjoy the 4 EU fundamental freedoms in Cyprus following a solution will not be accepted in any eventuality. Government spokesman Nikos Christodoulidis said that European treaties do not allow such a possibility, further adding that the Turkish demand is beyond the framework of a Cyprus solution. He further stressed that the importance which Turkey is giving to the issue is a negative development, as it sets new conditions which do not involve Turkish Cypriots, but Turkish citizens. Christodoulidis disclosed that Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker will soon be responding to President Anastasiades' letter on the matter. Responding to criticism that a second conference on security and guarantees is not justifiable, the government spokesman said it was surprising to criticise a discussion on security and guarantees, which was something the Greek Cypriot side has been seeking for years. Meanwhile, the UN Chief Special Advisor on Cyprus, Espan Barth-Ida, was in Ankara for contacts with Turkish officials. He held talks with Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, which he described as a good exchange on developments, as well as the prospects for the second Cyprus conference scheduled for March. Today also saw the confirmation of a visit by UN Chief Antonio Guterres to Ankara on Friday, with the Cyprus issue a major part of his agenda. The Syrian government has executed thousands of prisoners in mass hangings and carried out systematic torture at a military jail near Damascus, rights watchdog Amnesty International said. Amnesty said the executions took place between 2011 and 2015, but were probably still being carried out and amounted to war crimes. It called for a UN investigation. Syria's government and President Bashar al-Assad have rejected similar reports in the past of torture and extrajudicial killings in a civil war that has claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. The Amnesty report said an average of 20 to 50 people were hanged each week at the Sednaya military prison north of Damascus. According to the report, between 5,000 and 13,000 people were executed at Sednaya in the 4 years after Syria's popular uprising descended into civil war. Amnesty further presented evidence that the prisoners underwent sham trials before military courts and were sometimes forced to make confessions under torture. The executions were carried out secretly, and those killed were buried at mass graves outside the capital, with families not informed of their fate. Israel passed a law retroactively legalizing about 4,000 settler homes built on privately owned Palestinian land in the occupied West Bank, a measure that has drawn international concern. The legislation has been condemned by Palestinians as a blow to their hopes of statehood, but its passage may only be largely symbolic as it contravenes Israeli Supreme Court rulings on property rights. Israel's Attorney General had said it is unconstitutional and that he will not defend it at the Supreme Court. Though the legislation, passed by a vote of 60 to 52, was backed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's right-wing coalition, it has raised tensions in the government. A White House official said that, given the new law is expected to face challenges in Israeli courts, the Trump administration will withhold comment on the legislation until the relevant court ruling. Political sources have said Netanyahu privately opposes the bill over concerns it could provide grounds for prosecution by the International Criminal Court in The Hague. It was an invitation to seal Theresa May's bid to revitalise the special relationship with the United States, but the promise of a state visit for Donald Trump is turning into another headache for the British leader. May's trip to the US last month was described by her aides as successful, but any enjoyment was short-lived. On her return home, May came under fire for not immediately condemning Trump's summary curbs on immigration. The Speaker of Britain's House of Commons, a member of her ruling Conservative Party, rejected any plans for Trump to address Parliament during the visit. John Bercow said that an address by a foreign leader to both houses of Parliament is not an automatic right. It is an earned honour, to cheers from members of the opposition and near silence from his own party. He stressed that opposition to racism and sexism and support for equality before the law and an independent judiciary are hugely important considerations. Emmanuel Macron, the independent centrist who is favourite to win the French presidential election, has dismissed rumours he has a gay relationship outside his marriage to his wife. In comments tweeted by his spokeswoman, Macron brushed off rumours he was in a relationship with Radio France chief executive Matthieu Gallet. Talk of an affair has circulated for years. Macron said that his wife shares his life from morning to night and he never paid her. The reference to payment appeared to be a dig at another of his opponents, Françoise Fillon, whose campaign has been hit by allegations his wife was paid for work she did not do. It is the impact of that scandal which has put Macron in pole position to win the election this spring. Uncertainty about the outcome of the election, taking place in 2 rounds on April the 23rd and May the 7th, has this week driven the premium that investors demand for holding French over German government debt to its highest for almost 4 years. Opinion polls show Macron contesting the second round with Marine Le Pen, leader of the far-right National Front, and winning it with a majority of about 2/3. Now a look at the weather. Overcast skies tomorrow will bring isolated showers and storms, mainly in western and northern areas. Dust will settle in the atmosphere. Winds will be moderate to strong, northeasterly to southeasterly, force 4 to 5, later turning moderate, force 4, and in the afternoon, light to moderate, southwesterly to northwesterly, force 3 to 4. Seas will be moderate. Temperatures will reach 18 Celsius inland, 19 in southern and eastern coastal regions, 20 in the west and north, and 11 over the mountains. The depth of snow on Mount Olympus is 50 centimetres with 40 in Troodos Square. That's all from us here. Join us tomorrow for more news in English. Have a very good evening.